Get some more help against the Bills, by the way. Safety Jamal Adams expected to return after missing 4 games due to that groin injury and non-COVID-19 illness, while defensive end Carlos Dunlap expected to make his Seahawks debut after being traded from the Bengals. And so we will expect this defense to have even more strength. But, Marcus, Seattle did have success even without those guys against San Francisco. Was that an anomaly more about the 49ers' injuries, or was it more about Seattle finding something?
I think it was more about Seattle finding something else, and they got Bobby Wagner involved in their blitz packages. We're seeing a trend in the league now where people are using these athletic linebackers to create protection problems for offensive lines up front, and then you see the turnovers start to happen. But, I mean, it really goes to Key's point and also what Dan talked about. Key is mentioning about Brady. Pressure affects everything you do, not just the pass game. Like when I play in D-line in the NFL, when you can get pressure, when you can create a new line of scrimmage, it kills the timing of what offenses are trying to do. It creates havoc. And then once that happens a few times in the game, your quarterback his clock speeds up. And that's what you're trying to do. And I think Ken Norton Jr., the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks, realized that about Jimmy Garoppolo. He saw at certain points when he was bringing extra guys and extra pressure that the operation for the 49ers was needing to speed up. And that's really how you can defend Kyle Shanahan. Any other way, if you sitting back and waiting and trying to figure out what are they doing, then you have a problem. So I'm saying all that to say, Seattle decided we are going to force the issue now. We're not going to sit back. And if you guys remember, we showed a few clips with Jamal Adams against the Atlanta Falcons. That's what they started the season doing. Right. And we all talked about, look at the dimension that Jamal Adams has added to this defense. Well, they figured that out with Bobby Wagner last week. And now you get Jamal back. And then when you need to rush 4, you add Carlos Dunlap. So this defense may be turning a corner. I think it was truth about where they're headed as opposed to just one anomaly. But we'll see with an athletic quarterback in Josh Allen if they still have that same energy going after the quarterback.
Yeah, and Dan, you've liked Josh Allen at times this season. Brian Dable will be scheming things up for the Bills. What do you think he's going to have to do, Allen, against this better Seattle defense on Sunday?
This started, Laura, on Monday. You know, the hardest thing, and Key and Marcus, you guys know, like the hardest thing in the NFL to handle is success. You go back to last Sunday afternoon, and they're playing at home against a team that's owned their division for 20 years. And you figure out a way to win that football game, right? That's this emotional high. Are you the team that finally put the nail in the coffin against the Patriots? Well, Monday, you better show up and get ready for work because you got another game the next week. So I'm really paying attention to Josh Allen and his growth maturity. Like, show me that you're the leader that I think you are, that you can kind of reset your mindset for yourself and your football team. And go, guys, what we did last weekend is great. That's cool. We got 24 hours to celebrate it. Awesome. We got another big game coming. Because if we're the Buffalo Bills and we think that we are a legit playoff contender, that we can actually make some noise, we got to get this game. Last game doesn't matter anymore. We got to go and show the world that we're good enough to go beat a team that is a legit Super Bowl contender because the Patriots aren't. We knew that. The Seattle Seahawks are. And so, Josh Allen, show me that you're mature enough to play good football this week, to play winning football against the Seahawks.
I follow Dan with the same thing. I think when you look at the Buffalo Bills, they beat New England. They know New England. It's a divisional opponent, much like San Francisco and Seattle. So they kind of know each other. They kind of have each other's number to a degree. Seattle's coming all the way across the country to play Buffalo. Josh Allen and that offense, as well as the defense and everybody in the building, this is a statement game for them. Right. You look at the first 4 games of the season for Josh Allen, he was on the bandwagon. He was the MVP. Then you look at since week 5, that thing is kind of tailed off to a degree.
He popped his tires.
Well, I didn't pop his tire.
Don't blame the bandwagon for this.
No, I'm just saying, when you look at it, he had 71% completion percentage through week 4. Since week 5, 63, it dropped some. He's got to get back up there to get these guys believing in him as the quarterback that he was the first half of the season.
Yeah, I had some really good Josh Allen stats there, but you stole all of them, Key, and I'll let you have them. From here on out, Key's the stats guy here on the show. So we're just going to go to the next thing. And after a disappointing showing against Minnesota on Sunday, will the Packers bounce back against a depleted 49ers team? Game picks for tonight are next.
Here, you can have the stats back.
Yeah, thank you for the stats. NFL Live is presented by. The funny thing about that photo, though, is that they actually both still look the same. So
look at the lettuce. There's some good lettuce on there.
Both of them got the lettuce. All right, anyway, so Drew Brees 4-2 in his career against Tom Brady, including the win earlier this year. Brees just one of 13 QBs to face Brady at least 6 times. He's the only one of that group with a winning record. So Brady's been pressured at the lowest rate in the NFL this season. He's struggled, though, when opposing defenses have managed to get to him. He ranks among the worst in QBR and completion rate in the NFL when under duress. Also has overthrown or underthrown his receiver 45% of those times and of those plays. So, Key, with the addition of AB, there's a lot of these great weapons on this offense for Tom Brady. But what is the Achilles heel for this game for the Saints?
I'm glad you said this game.
You really wanted me to say that.
I wanted you to make sure it's this game and not the season. I think you start with the quarterback. You have to start with the quarterback because if anything, you cut the head off the quarterback. You go get him. And Cameron Jordan and Marcus Brown, and if you can get Marcus Davenport to start to come to play, come to the party, that's how you get quarterbacks off their mark, Dan. You apply pressure. You talk about the weapons. If you decide, okay, I'm going to take Mike Evans out, well, you've left him with how many more weapons to go to?
Yeah.
Or I'm going to take AB out. Well, I can go to Mike Evans, or I can go to Gronkowski, Fournette. So what you do is you go and get the quarterback. And if you look at any teams that ever beat Tom Brady, it's always getting after him, applying pressure to him, getting him off his mark, not allowing him to step up in the pocket. You push the pressure in his lap and he'll fold.
Let me just really quickly reiterate. So Keyshawn Johnson is saying that the Achilles heel for the Bucs in this game is Tom Brady.
Not the season.
Okay.
I strongly disagree with that, just so we're clear. Listen, like if you watch this Saints defense, there's 2 things that stand out that you can attack. One, middle of the field. They really struggle covering the tight ends, especially with their linebackers. And then they're always going to give you the chance to take a deep ball shot downfield. Like there's always a blown coverage somewhere and whatnot. And then 2 things that Tampa Bay has done well offensively this year is work the middle of the field. Tom is exponentially better working the slot receiver, so to speak, and they've decided to start taking more shots downfield. So, listen, I don't necessarily see that this is going to be the weakness of this football team. Their offensive line.
But the question is Achilles heel. If you get after Tom Brady, who's he going to throw the ball to, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like if you get after any quarterback ever, surely, but
if you take away some of his other weapons, like I just said, you take Mike Evans away,
right?
And you leave Tom Brady standing tall in the pocket. He'll kilt you, K-I-L-T. He'll get you.
The only thing that I would say, Key, is like, I know that sounds great. It's so hard to do.
What does Chicago do?
Well, because Chicago can rush with 4. Chicago's got the best 4-man rush and keep coverage. New Orleans doesn't have that.
But wherever the pressure comes from, that's all that matters.
You're right. Like, if you can do that, awesome. I just don't think the Saints can do that.
Sound like you picking the Bucs to me, man.
Well, we'll find out maybe tomorrow or the next day. Either way, on the flip side, oh yeah, you're not on the show tomorrow. Sorry, Dan. On the flip side of this game, the Saints have been without Michael Thomas since week 1. Adam, what's his status looking like for this game?
Laura, he was limited at practice today with that nagging ankle injury, hamstring injury, but Sean Payton, the Saints coach, was talking about both Emmanuel Sanders, who's been out due to the virus, and Michael Thomas, and said he was excited to have both of them back, indicating that Thomas looks like he is on track to play for the 2nd time this season on Sunday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Also should add that Drew Brees was throwing off to the side today, was limited there at practice, but I think the Saints organization